Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 26, welcoming new teachers to the field of teaching. I've got a close special friend today, and we reflect and talk about and offer advice to new graduates just out of school, getting their teaching degree, and we are ready to welcome you to the field. I hope you stick around. It's a long one, but I hope you can stay tuned.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Devery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Devery.
Hey, so before we get started with my dear friend, we did have a couple of moments where we had some laughter and then we had a hard time getting started. I ended up leaving that in the show because I thought it was just funny, and it's fun sometimes to hear the brighter side as well. We're offering up some tips and strategies of how to deal with your brand new job as a teacher. And this is the perfect time because we've got people that have just graduated. They'll be looking for jobs over the summer. And these are some things to keep in mind. Before we start the show, I want to let you know that my podcasting course, Podcasting Academy for Teachers and Teacher Creatives, which is mainly geared towards teacherpreneurs, is open and ready for enrolling. It'll be open for another week or so, and then the doors will be shutting. So I hope you don't miss out on exploring the world of podcasting. It can be such an amazing way in which to connect with your audience. I know that I am so thankful for my audience and for you, and I really think that it is just an absolute benefit to my teacher business. If you want more information, it's at trinadeveryteachingandlearning.com/PATTC. Hope to see you there. On with the show. Welcome, Andrea. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in teaching?
Okay, so we're going now. We're ready, right? We're no longer just chatting. Okay, I'm ready and go.
Welcome, Andrea. And so why don't you just tell us a little bit about your teaching experience?
Well, I've been teaching first and second grade for about 20 years in Florida, and then retired from that and moved up here to North Carolina. I work with some elementary-aged children who are struggling to read, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Ah, that sounds nice. Well, let me just first say that you moving to North Carolina doesn't sound nice because that means you moved away from Florida, which is where we lived together. I mean, not together, but you know. And but the rest of that is nice because kids definitely need help from you because that is something that you have such a gift. So I'm glad to hear that that's still continuing.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So tell me, I know that today's show we're going to be talking about the journey of new teachers and kind of what that looks like before you actually become a teacher. And I know that you have a daughter, a sweet daughter that I actually had the privilege of having in second grade. Mm-hmm. And she has decided that she wants to become a teacher. And she just recently started at college. This is her first year in college. And I'd like to know, what can you tell us about your college-age daughter beginning her journey as a teacher?
Well, first, let me tell you that when she did actually decide on this as a final answer, mm-hmm. when she decided she did not want to be a meteorologist anymore.
I know. I was very upset about that. She for sure was. Yeah, because she was positive. And I'm I needed to hold a 7-year-old. Right. 7-year-old self to her for all of eternity.
Dream. Yeah. Well, she told me this is what she actually wanted to do. And to be, perfectly transparent, I tried to talk her out of it, which sounds like probably a very horrible and unsupportive thing to do. But, I've been doing this for about 20 years. I know how challenging it is. I know how stressful and time consuming and what a strain and drain it can be on a family. on your finances. I mean, I think at that time I was thinking about all the negative reasons why I did not want her to be a teacher. And so I did try to talk her out of it. And then, but she persisted, even, with other people's opinions too. Other people were maybe thinking that wasn't the best way for her to go. And I kind of thought that she might be influenced by all of our opinions. And she was not. Yeah. So I thought, you know what? Why on earth would I try to discourage somebody who has a real heart for children from actually joining this profession? Because that is exactly what this profession needs. Children need somebody like Haley, these kids who decide they still actually love children and want to be a teacher. And so I decided to just jump on her bandwagon instead and support her because, she's obviously committed. And so, I need to go with that.
I absolutely understand that. And I think she got a good experience and seeing like the backlash that sometimes we face as teachers. Like, the profession is often looked at in a not as supportive light that we would want that to be. And sometimes we take the brunt, not sometimes, we take the brunt of a lot of things that are going wrong. And I think that, well, there you go. She had kind of an experience with that and then the negative stigma around teaching. And she overcame that. So that was a kind of a good first test for her. Like, I understand. I love you, Mom, and other people in my life. But this is what I choose to do. And, upon reflection, when I think about it, even though, yes, I thought she'd be a meteorologist, I do think that she was actually born to do this. Like, I think back about how she was as a child and how she continued to grow through the years, which I thankfully got to witness, which was very special. And I watched her working with kids when she, helped in your classroom, and even her 7-year-old self. Like, she always embraced the kids that needed friends, that needed to be loved and cared for. She was the champion for all kids. And what better quality to have in a teacher. And so I think she was actually born for it. And so I'm glad that she overcame the initial negativity that she received around her, and kind of decided, I'm going to stay true to what I know is right for me.
I agree. I do think she was born for this. She just has a heart for children, and she's just so empathetic and patient and forgiving. She has everything that you might want a teacher to be, and she'll learn the rest versus having all that knowledge, but maybe not the heart for it. So too, when she decided, one, I was proud of her for sticking with it, to be honest, because Haley tends to be a people pleaser. So I was thinking that in the face of everybody's, opinions, she might sway, and she didn't. So that was actually really cool for me to see as a mom. Yeah. And, but then also she made me remember too, what I did love about teaching. And it kind of took me back to a time when I, still loved it. And, also that our kids, our girls, and our sons grew up in our school, right? And it felt like a family. And we've been through so much together personally and professionally, and they have witnessed that. And Haley, that's what she remembers, is she remembers school, being a student in a positive way. And she looks at us as teachers, as a faculty, as a family in a positive way too. So I think she has a really good vision for what she thinks her life is going to be like. And I hope that actually becomes her reality.
I hope so too. And I think that I've said it before on different shows that we're not going to see change in this system unless it comes from the ground up. And so if we have people like Haley going into the profession, remembering a time when it was a beautiful thing to witness. The family aspect, the collaboration, the support and encouragement that we all gave one another, and just how it was like we gravitated towards the same school and the same place and the same leader and things like that. And it was something special. And I think that the only way for it to be something special again is if we have teachers that have that vision, if we have leaders that have that vision. So I think
I agree.
I think that's really important. And you did say something else that I thought is an extremely important point for anyone that's considering teaching and you're going into teaching. Like, if you have the heart for it, like, that's something that is hard to train people to have the heart for.
Yes.
And you will face adversity. So if you don't have the heart for it, then I don't think that this profession would be for someone that doesn't truly want it.
Agreed.
Everything else, you're right, can just totally be learned. I mean, we can teach kids how to teach kids, no, not really kids, but young adults. We can teach young adults how to teach kids how to read, and we can teach them how to, behavior management, and we can teach those things, but we can't teach them the heart. So she's way ahead in that aspect.
I agree.
All right. So, we're brought on the bright side. Like, she's made her decision and she's decided that's what she wants to do. What are some things that you still kind of worry about in that aspect for her?
Well, she and I talk about this a lot. She is a freshman at App State University in their educational program. And a thing that I actually really like about their program is that they are getting these kids involved in educational experiences out in the community from the very first semester.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't like that when I went to college. And I think what they're trying to do, because they realize the high frustrational level and burnout rate for teachers, and I think they're trying to get these people into situations right off the bat where they realize, I either do or don't want to do this, right? And so I've been really happy with how her program is starting out. And I like how they are also addressing the concerns of teachers at this time too, even, political issues and, the demands of evaluations and curriculum and so forth. I mean, I think they're trying to give these freshmen a real picture of what the job is actually like. And
That's
so
great.
It is great, because I think that, at least in my time, we kind of walked into this blind.
Yes.
And I actually didn't grow up wanting to be a teacher. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. So how this happened to me, I'm not 100% sure. But it is a career I look back on with a lot of love, and I am happy that I did it. But she and I, what I worry about for her are some of those things. I worry about her getting dragged down into, negativity. I worry about her being tired. I worry about her being frustrated by other people's agendas as well. I just worry about her losing the love for this job or for children because of all of the agendas around education. And I look back to, like, when you and I first started teaching, I feel like we had a lot of autonomy. I feel like we had a lot of power in our own decision making in our classrooms, and that we could do what we felt was right for children. And also, the testing agenda was not so heavy back then, if even at all.
Yes.
And
so much better. Oh, so much better.
Yeah, I'm worried about that too, because I actually think that I truly believe, and I'm not one of those people going, oh, back in my day. I mean, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just, but I think teaching was better. I think that we had stronger practices in place 20 years ago than we do now.
I totally agree.
I feel like we are moving backward. We are not moving forward at all. And I feel like these kids, Haley and others like her, have a sense of what children need, but I'm worried that they're not going to have the freedom to pull those things off in their classrooms. That's the saddest part to me, is that I think teachers have lost a lot of autonomy.
I agree. And with more and more scripted programs, and where they think they're providing a technology integration, yet it's a program, that's a whole nother topic. I feel like that's a concern. Like, that's a valid concern. Will she be able to do? And she's grown up with you as an example of an outstanding educator. And so will she be able to utilize all the things that she's learned pretty much her whole life? And as she continues to learn in school, will she be able to do those things when it's like becoming such a scripted system where you can't kind of be yourself or think for yourself, which that's another thing that we need a change. Like, we need teachers to be willing to, like, kind of force the envelope a little bit. Like,
Yes.
or even if they have to, and this is a sad thing to say, but even if they have to learn how to play the game, but in their classroom, they're shutting their door and they're truly reaching kids.
100% agree. Shut your door and do the right thing. Yeah. Do the thing you know is right. I'd rather get, in trouble, written up, fired, whatever. I mean, whatever your consequence is. Mm-hmm. I'd rather go down knowing that I did the right thing than to engage in these horrible practices for children.
I totally agree with you, but don't you feel like they're so, like, I think it's easier to say that when you kind of have a backup plan, or when you have a spouse who also supports, the household, and you feel like, okay, I do have the freedom to walk away from this if it angers me too much, or if I go down in the ship. But there's so many young teachers that they're trying to support themselves with already such a low paying job. They're trying to support themselves, and they feel, and I kind of also feel like teachers by nature are rule followers. Like they're like they are afraid to break the rules, and they're, I mean, so much to the point that sometimes I think they're super hard on each other. Like they give each other a hard time about, or you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And I think we have to kind of back off of that and celebrate each other, not criticize. Sorry.
Oh, definitely. Well, in general, I think you're right. I think there's a certain personality, not to overgeneralize, but typically there's a certain personality that I've experienced tends to become a teacher, right? At least elementary. Mm-hmm. And we are kind of rule followers. We were maybe those students. That's why we became teachers probably. And also by and large, it's a really kind group of people. They are empathetic. But they kind of hold back. They tend to be a little bit, they're kind of like lovers, not fighters generally. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, which is another part of the problem, because I think in order to sort of right the wrongs that are going on right now, because the problems with the educational system are going to take a massive national organized effort to remediate. And I don't know that the reality is that that's what's going to happen, but I do think that you can focus on what you can do in your classroom, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Like you're right. What you said, sometimes you can't always close the door and just, do what you want without consequence if you don't have a backup plan, but you can take little steps along the way.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. And those little steps can be significant, and they make a huge difference to children. So I think they're definitely worth taking. And I hope that we get to the point where we can take some bigger steps, and where people start to find their voice a little more as well. As a united front.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, okay. So we know that there are some challenges that Haley will, and many teachers coming into the profession will also, run into. But we also know that there's some exciting things that we know she has in store for her. So what is something that has excited you about teaching that you may have even forgotten that you are seeing for Haley, and then also that you want to see for Haley? Sorry.
Ask me that one again.
Yeah. Okay. I think it was like a double question. So, yeah, let me back up.
I feel like I'm on the witness stand.
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
You do? Oh, okay.
No, I'm teasing. But can you please repeat the question?
Yeah. All right. So we know that some of the things that Haley will be they will be a challenge. But what are some things that we know are going to be like so exciting for her? What are some things in teaching that you remember that you're like, oh, I cannot wait for her to experience this?
Well, first of all, I can't wait for her to be around children all day, every day. I mean, that is her dream. Haley just loves being around kids, and she derives a lot of energy from that. So I think that once she's in that position, that's just going to continue to drive her. I'm excited for her to be around kids. She can't wait. Like for her, this is all taking way too long. She just wants to work right now. I can't wait for her to be on an amazing team. And that's what I hope she gets to experience. I feel like you and I were spoiled in so many ways. And I am afraid I have to remind myself sometimes when I give answers or give advice, I'm like, yeah, that's not everybody's situation. Because you and I were in an amazing school with a very supportive administrative team, who did allow us to function independently, and to let us have a voice. And we, embraced problem solving and teamwork. And, our principal was committed to, professional training. And I felt like we had an opportunity to learn and grow. And and they were really good too at putting good teams together. And I hope I'm excited for her to hopefully experience that. I want her to be in a school where the team really supports her. I think that is so fun when you have people to talk to teaching or talk about teaching with, like, you and I and some of our other great colleagues in the past. It's so energizing.
Absolutely. It just fuels you. It's exciting. It reminds you of all the things that you love.
Yeah.
I think the team is a make it or break it. And I think the ultimate is the administration. Like, I just think, and I do believe, at least for Haley's sake, and even for a lot of graduating, teachers, they're going to have a little more, room to be, just to decide if that's what's right for them or not, because they can be a little bit pickier in this case, because we were facing such a shortage. At least they'll be able to kind of find the right fit for themselves. Whereas in the past, when it was so hard to get a job, you had a hard time getting your ways into some schools. I think that you kind of just took what you could get. And but I think now they have a chance to be a little bit more, they get to decide a little bit more what's going to work for me. So that would be the thing that I would make sure this is what you need to look for in an interview.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that, I do think that they have choices. I think you're right. And I hope that they can put themselves in a good situation, and that if they're not in a good situation, they have, room to move.
Yes.
I'm also excited. I just was reminded the other day about the impact that we have as teachers for years after we have known a child also. Because I get friend requests from former students. Yes.
Crazy.
And,
now it's old enough to say yes to.
And it reminds me of, it's just really actually a reminder of the work that you are doing and the impact that you are having on these children, and that they are remembering you 5, 10, 15 years later, and that they still want to have that relationship with you. And that's a thing that I'm hoping, she gets a chance to experience too, is that idea of a legacy, too, when we talk about the problems with education in this country, it does seem almost overwhelming. But I think that new teachers, tired teachers, any teachers need to remember that, you can't underestimate the impact that you are having in your classroom. You don't have to join a national fight, right? I mean, you've got 20 kids in there that you are reaching every single day. And then your reach extends even beyond them as they grow older and they have relationships. You're always part of every part of their life, just because you're part of their life now.
You're right.
So
your circle of influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I can't wait for her to have that moment of realizing that she has touched someone. I can't wait for her to be in a classroom where she realizes, oh, ding, like she sees the light go on for some of those kids, or where she's had, some of our best experiences have been when we've had that challenging child and we're like, nothing is working, right? I'm like, I just might as well quit now. I'm obviously the worst teacher in the history of teachers. And one day, just the light goes on for this kid, and you're like, oh my gosh, all the time invested, or they finally got it, and blah, blah, blah. And that's a really powerful moment that impacts you too, and it's very motivating. So
you're right, and it's for some reason really sticks with you for a long time when you finally broke through to that one kid. Yeah, no, I agree. What about as she has gone through this experience, what has re-excited you?
Well, I don't know. I love teaching anyway. I always have. Her love for this has reminded me of all the things that I used to love about teaching. Very specifically things like reading, or, teaching, writing, teaching science. She's also in my current job, what I'm actually doing right now is, creating educational materials, right? And so talking
link to your store I will link to your store in the show notes because you have some excellent products that will definitely help teachers, especially new teachers, any teacher.
Well, thank you. But talking to her and staying current, well, that's actually what she's doing, is helping me to stay current. I mean, I'm re-looking at standards. I'm refamiliarizing myself with, new current best practices, although I kind of think best practices are always best practices. But I don't know that what was best for children is any different than it was 20 years ago. But she's helping me to stay motivated and awake about teaching, and it's impacting what I want to do in my career as well. And she's making me think, because they're facing, I think, problems that are different than you and I faced when we first started out. Mm-hmm. So,
like what kinds of problems?
Well, just these issues of, like teacher evaluations, right? Professional evaluation.
Yes.
Or the testing demands. Just a lot of the current issues that I think this whole fidelity thing, right? Or the whole,
or
all
rigor
on the same page at the same time. And I'm like, why do we all have to be on the same page at the same time?
Yes, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or how rigorous is your lesson? Rigor is a word that just drives me insane.
Right. Or lesson planning. What is the deal with lesson planning?
It's really gotten out of control.
Gosh, it is out of control. That makes me, I'd want to pluck my eyeballs out. It drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. And I think that lesson planning should be very personal too. It should be, however it works for you, but whatever. So yeah, I imagine that as she gets a little bit more into this, that will become even more apparent. I mean, she's only a second semester freshman, so we've got quite a long way to go.
No, I know that's true, but I love that her school has actually taken the approach, like the truthful approach. Mm-hmm. Like this is what it's going to look like. These are some obstacles that you may face. This is a way to get you over them, but you need to know that these obstacles occur, because when we have a profession where we're losing over 50% of our population after year 5, and I think the statistics are like significantly higher than that, then I think that we need to think about that. Yes, we're graduating teachers, but we're not keeping them. Right. So maybe if they know what they're getting into, that will change things. They know what, and they're given some tools, some strategies of how to kind of get through those things, how to get around them, how to push and make for change. And maybe we will begin to see longer retentions for teachers.
I agree. I hope so. I really hope so. Because it can be a very rewarding career. If you can stick with it, try to stick with it. And I've also been really honest with Haley too. I'm like, you're not going to make a lot of money. And I'm like, that can be really frustrating. I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from too. It is a hard job. It's very demanding. But when you combine that with very low pay, sometimes challenging benefits, and then sort of an insulting public opinion, that's a really bad combination. And that's
absolutely. And then throw your evaluation on top of it. You're evaluated unfairly, in my opinion, much of the time. I think that, yes, that makes it's not a good combination at all. That makes it difficult. Right. And I think if we paid teachers significantly more, that would take off some of the personal stress that sometimes they come to school with. Because when you're trying to pay your bills, that's in your mind. No matter how great the situation is at your school, that's still a heavy burden to carry.
Definitely. This definitely could be a topic for a separate podcast episode.
Yes.
But when a college graduate, when a single mom teacher qualifies for free and reduced lunch, I just think that there's a problem. I do not think that we should have people who have spent so many years in college, who are professionals, who are so talented and so smart, and they're just being so underpaid that, I don't know, it's really, that's You're a challenge. Right. I mean, I wanted Haley to know that for sure. I'm like, you have to expect a certain lifestyle, and if you are okay with that, then okay.
Yes, then you need to know. And luckily for her, she doesn't come out of school with a massive amount of debt, which is which unfortunately that's not the case for all beginning teachers. They've got the debt on top of going into a profession that's going to take them a lifetime to pay that debt back. Mm-hmm. So that makes it difficult. But you're right, that could be a topic for a totally different time. So tell me, what would you tell future teachers to kind of warn them about, well, that might be one thing, but about like teacher tireds? Like, what would you say to just kind of prepare them for those things, for those types of tireds?
Okay. Well, I have sort of advice in general for new teachers
That's great.
We've touched on some of these things already, but I think they need to create connections with teammates for sure. They cannot do this alone, and they shouldn't be doing this alone.
Absolutely.
I also think they need to set limits. I was really, really bad at that in the beginning, probably through most of my career. I mean, I was the person who liked to get to school with the custodian, like when the lights were literally turned on. And well, isn't your classroom so beautiful in the morning when nobody is there? You're like,
yes,
I love it in here right now.
I loved it over the summer when I could just go in and organize my books.
Yes, it was so beautiful.
Oh, it was the best.
But I was bad at setting limits. I'd get there super early. I'd stay super late. So I would say set limits. Make sure that you carve out time each day or each week for your personal aspirations, your hobbies, your interests, social activity with family and friends, just, things like that. Make sure that you are not 100% teacher. You have to, try to maintain balance in your life and do it from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
I do also think when we talk about setting limits, like use social media as a resource, but again, set limits maybe on time or your number of followers. Be selective about your social media tribe, so to speak, and find your favorites and let them inspire you. But avoid the temptation to sort of scroll and troll, right? Because you can waste so much time going down those rabbit holes, and social media groups can sometimes be pretty negative, and I think that you need to try to avoid negative environments.
Yes, because that makes it worse. But there are some really great ones out there where teachers are supporting each other, and they're kind of getting like PD on the go.
Yes,
and,
definitely.
So I think that there can be some value to those groups as well. But you're right; you have to really make
know the difference.
Yes,
know the vibe.
Mm-hmm, all right, keep going. Sorry. So.
Another thing is observe other teachers. I think that is so powerful. You can read about best teaching practices and you can stay up to date, and that, kind of behavior is important, but there's nothing quite like watching a really strong teacher in action. So do that, and do that often, because you will learn so much from them. Which reminds me, if a mentor teacher is not assigned to you, go ask for one.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like them, go ask for another one.
Yes.
And sure that it's a good fit.
People will do it. Definitely people will do it because that's another beautiful thing about, not to generalize again, but as teachers, like we like to take people under our wing. We want to teach people, especially when they're eager to learn. Those are the best. Those are the best students.
Oh, definitely.
So I think those are great tips.
Well, and also, if you're a really super confident person, that's awesome. But keep an open mind and be teachable. Like, always be the student yourself too. You have to be willing to say, yeah, okay, my way might not be the best way. There might be a better way to do it. And then, and find out and practice. Teaching is an art. You're not going to get it overnight. It takes time. It takes a long time, and it takes practice. And celebrate even your small successes. And, don't ever make a list of all the things you need to be better at, because then you will want to quit. And by the way, that never ends. Like, even after teaching 20 years, I could have made a list of at least a dozen things I could have been better at.
You're right. And you already have a list because you've gotten one from an evaluation. So you don't need to make your own list.
Yeah. So pick like one or two things and just concentrate on that. Do not let yourself get overwhelmed. And don't compare yourself to other people. Be inspired by them. Okay. Like say, she's great at how she does, X, whatever that is. And, observe her, talk to her, learn from her, but you don't have to be like her. Just, be you, do you, and really resist the temptation to compare yourself to other people, because that's like emotional suicide right there. It's just, you'll just be so hard on yourself, and it's not necessary.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And yes, that's really rough. I mean, you can definitely utilize it to help you propel forward. And to have, like, I know there's been moments of having friendly competition, such as such as bulletin boards and displays outside of a room and canned goods. So
I was going to say, and canned food drives. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that was quite fun. But so those times can be, but you want to make it fun, because if you're comparing yourself to the person down the hall or the person downstairs or wherever they are, you're right. You're going to find yourself kind of turning up short, and you don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Some people have a lot more, they're at a different place in their career than you are. Their kids are older, they have more time, or, they're, whatever their situation is, we just can't compare without having all the factors, and there's just no need to compare anyway.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So I think that's a good one for sure.
This is a personal practice of my own, but I do think that this is helpful. Try to be intentional and remember why you wanted to become a teacher in the first place, and stay focused on the positive aspects of the job, whether that means, maybe keeping a journal or writing a blog if you like to write, or kind of starting a feel-good teacher group, something like that. Anything that keeps you motivated. Or doing a podcast. But being real, teacher life isn't always easy. That's for sure.
No. Yes, you're right. I think those are great things. I mean, blogging, podcasting, vlogging, even those kinds of things are cathartic. Is that the word?
They really are. Yes, it is very therapeutic. Yeah.
It's very therapeutic, and they really help
even
you.
if no one reads it, which no one reads mine. But it's just my way of kind of getting things out.
Yeah, it's important, and sometimes it's loaded full of information that other people can pick up and use, and sometimes it just feels good to get it off of your chest. And I'll also link to your blog because it's extremely helpful. And also, if you're interested in podcasting, there may be something coming just for you. And so that's those are just ways of getting things out there and honestly kind of contributing to a global aspect of education. And that's usually on your evaluation. So there you go.
I was just going to say, that will help you on that part of your evaluation. Yes.
Absolutely. And one thing that I was thinking of for advice for new teachers is keep an open mind, and don't ever think that you have arrived. Like, there's always something to learn. And sometimes when we're young, we feel like, what does that person that's been doing this for 30 years and seems old and grouchy, what do they know? But there's so much that seasoned teachers can offer to younger teachers and people that have been doing it for a little while. We all have a value, and we need to see value in each other forever. Like, that needs to be our goal in teaching, and our goal in life. We need to see the value in others. We all have our strengths, and if we utilize our strengths, that just makes our team stronger.
Definitely. Every person on your team matters, and every person on your team has something to contribute. You might not click with everybody on your team, but everybody on your team is beautiful, and you need to find out how.
Yes.
And embrace the idea of being a problem solver. It's like that saying, you can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. And trust me, you need to choose the second one. You should avoid highly negative environments, whether that's your teacher's lounge, which I'm not saying those are always negative. I actually really loved mine, but try to avoid a lot of negativity. They can drag you down and make you forget what you love about this job. So learn the difference between healthy, effective problem solving and just plain complaining.
Just complain, yes. But I do feel like there has to be a time, and I used to do this on my team. At the beginning of the year, we would have a session where people would just get everything off a venting session, basically. Okay, we're going to spend a week. We only are allowed to do it for a week. Right. That's it. Complain about every single thing you want to complain about, what you think the teacher before you didn't do, and why you got this kid or that kid, or why you don't have enough supplies for your art room, or whatever your situation is. Go ahead, spend the time, get it out, because I do feel like we keep all that bottled in. That doesn't help either. But then you have a time limit. That's it. Like, we're done complaining about that. We've all talked about it. Let's see if we can solve some of these problems. Can we can we go to the local community and find some people that are willing to make donations? Like, what can we do to solve those problems? And then now we've put them behind us. We're moving on. We're moving forward.
Right. Well, that's really, not to go off topic, but that's really a testament to your leadership too. And I do hope that these new teachers get to experience a team leader like you. And, your team was always very effective, not only with children, but, you are well loved, and there's a reason why your team, really respected you. So you're right. People need an opportunity to kind of vent, right? But setting a time limit, that's really smart.
Yes, because that could go on forever.
Yeah, don't stay in a negative environment.
No, you're right. And don't continue to go back to it repeatedly, because it really will drag you down, and it will remind you of the things you don't like. Right. And we can easily be reminded of things we don't like. So let's just be reminded of things we do like.
Right.
And it's mindset. It's all about mindset. So what do you think are must-haves for teachers? Must-haves or books that they should be reading currently, people that are going into teaching or are really kind of young in their career? What are books, or even if they're not, maybe they're along in their career and they missed out on something that is, like, I know for me, a huge game changer for me was Kagan Cooperative Learning. Like, that's a book that I will forever be thankful that I read. Even Tools for Teaching, like those kind of behavior management things, the first days of school, like those kind of books. But there's also, The Art of Teaching Reading. I mean, there's plenty of things that come up to my mind. But what would you say are must-haves for teachers currently?
Oh, my goodness. I think my dog just threw up. I'm so sorry. I probably have to edit that part out. I don't know if you could even hear that back there. I'm
yes, I can see it. Actually, your camera. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll edit that out. But okay, so must-haves for sure. Well, let me go with some must-haves that are not things you can buy necessarily. I'll start with that. You have to have a sense of humor. Yeah, really, really try to cultivate that. And another must-have, patience and empathy. I think you also need to be flexible. These are things that I think will help you survive this career. So have a sense of humor, be patient, be empathetic, not only to your students, but to the people on your team and on your staff too. And you know what else? Value every single person in your school. I just thought about that. Everybody's job is important in your school. And you may find yourself creating relationships and becoming friends with people that you weren't even expecting to. So, yeah, and love your custodian, by the way.
Absolutely. And your school secretary.
Yep, they're amazing.
Yes.
Don't make
extremely mean to you. Yeah, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah, never irritate those two.
Yes, that is true.
Another must-have, I think, and I learned this a little bit too late in life, but exercise. Like, keep yourself physically healthy through diet and exercise. Get enough sleep. Those things are just going to help you be happy and manage this career better too.
Absolutely. Put first things first. You've got to, you have to do that, or you'll be resentful.
Yep.
And it'll wear you down. Definitely. It'll exhaust you to the point where you feel like you can't continue. And we don't want that for teachers, for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Get plenty of rest. You need energy for this job.
A
lot of it.
Yes.
Even on your most perfect day, kids are tiring. so get rest. Go to bed on time. Okay. So Kagan Cooperative Learning, hands down, that will transform your teaching. If you have been teaching for a while, that will transform your teaching. And new teachers, it's just a really brilliant way to be teaching. And it's not curriculum, it's the way you teach.
Yes.
Curriculum. Yes. And so,
but it's an easy read, and it's gigantic, but it's an easy, and you can implement things immediately, and don't try to implement everything all at once.
Oh no, pick like one or two. That's always my thing with everything. One or two. Like, I'm fasting right now, and I only picked one thing to get rid of because otherwise I'd be overwhelmed. But, and I know you know what it is. So another thing, when you talked about put first things first, I think that Covey is a really good training to go through as well.
Yes.
And then books that are actually older, but I still think are really relevant, and I don't want to discount them just because they were published long ago, would be books like Strategies That Work.
Oh, I love that. There's a revised. They have a revised version.
Yep. Mosaic of Thought. Anything written by Fountas and Pinnell, if you are a primary teacher or an elementary teacher, I think that's really, really strong information for literacy. Yeah. And then anything that reminds you to be creative or to create creative spaces for kids. Like there's a book I'm reading right now called The Curious Classroom by Harvey Daniels.
Wow, that sounds cool.
Yeah. Or even The Wild Card by Hope and Wade King, which also reminds me about the Ron Clark Academy. That's where they teach. And try to find schools or teachers. They might not even be in your own building. They might not be on your own grade level. And I actually wanted to say that earlier when you mentioned something and I was thinking, like you and I have a really strong connection, and we were never, for all the listeners out there, on the same team. We were on the same grade level, but so
I kind of forget that sometimes.
Yeah. Your strong connections might be with people that aren't on your own grade level. You just kind of click with who you click with, and don't isolate that just to your own team.
And sometimes that can be a benefit too, because you've worked a what am I thinking of? A connection with another grade level, and that therefore the communication back and forth between the grades, it really helps. It can really help.
Yeah, vertical team talks are really important if you're new to teaching as well, because it really helps to know, well, what's coming before me and what's coming after me. So I need to know where my kids are coming from and where my kids are headed to.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to approach the grade level after you and ask them if there was overall generalizing what you could have done, like worked more on. Like where did they see your kids, what the strengths and where are the areas that you could possibly improve? Because you'll get a lot of good information in that way. You got to be willing to like take the feedback and also take that with a grain of salt, because that's, some people's opinions. So just remember that as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Wow. We've really talked about a lot of good tips and strategies for new teachers to at least think about, some places to start. Did you have any further things that you wanted to mention?
I don't think so.
I know. I had a post. Yeah, absolutely. I know. I think I'm actually going to create a summary. So hopefully nobody was sitting here having to take notes, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. What do you think? How do you think we can leave the biggest impact on this current educational system?
Well, again, I'm kind of a realist in the way that I think having a large national impact is a little bit out of reach for the most part. I'm definitely not trying to be negative, and I don't think that it's.
I don't think that's negative.
Pursuing, yeah,
it's just you have to be honest and realistic.
I think the reality is, for me, that answer would be you every single day for 180 days a year have an opportunity to impact the lives of about 20 kids in your classroom. Focus on that. And again, never underestimate that impact. Don't underestimate the power and the responsibility that you have with those kids. You will change their lives. And you know what else? This is a saying that I always remember. People will remember you in a good way or a bad way. That's your choice, right? And so every day, show up ready to be the teacher these kids need you to be, and they will remember you, and you will have an impact on them. And when you teach little kids, sometimes you don't see the fruit of that labor for many years, and then something will surprise you one day and you're like, wow, I touched that kid's life, and I know that I did. here's why I know that I did. So the greatest impact we can make on this educational system is to just be intentional with these kids, be positive, be responsible. I do think that we need to teach with rigor, meaning I think that we need to take advantage of every moment that we have with them. We cannot waste time with them. And if you have an opportunity to respectfully rebel in maybe one or two ways in your classroom, do. If there's something going on in your system that you maybe do have a little bit of ability to change, try to make a positive change for those kids. Yeah.
Yes, don't that change.
Don't be a sheep. Do not just follow along blindly if you have the chance to do something better.
Yeah.
In a better way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And read, stay on top of things and continue. Okay. To answer your question, be a student yourself.
To lifelong.
Right. Yeah, Trina's right. You cannot stop learning. You are constantly a student yourself. And the day that you think you have arrived, you need a break.
You're right.
A dose of reality. Yeah, because there are still ways to grow and improve.
You might need a timeout, and I think that's okay.
Hey, I've taken 4. Let me go ahead and be real about this too. I just remembered this. I have literally quit teaching 4 times. For real quit. Not just took a break, not just went home for 3 days,
Actually quit.
Yeah, I've quit. Like with HR, wrote in and said I'm done. So, and it's never because of the people I worked with or, I want to always emphasize I've been in great schools with great people, but that's how tiring it can get. And
sometimes we need a break and then we get called back to the thing that we're really meant to do.
I keep coming back. So that's a positive thing too. I mean, it's such a draw to be with kids and it really is kind of a high. I mean, when you experience those light bulbs or you experience the love or when a kid really melts into you and hugs you in a way that they just need you so bad, you're like, dang, I could do this all day long.
I could do it. You're right. Yeah. I could do it all day long. I was just going to say
I keep coming back. Yeah. I keep coming back. Yeah. Because you are, oh my gosh, that's true. Now listen, most of my career I've taught first grade. You can show up looking like you don't even know what happened the night before. You can look terrible. You might look like the cat just dragged you in and you're greeting them at the door in the morning and they're like, hi, Mrs. Knight, you are so beautiful. And I'm like, I love you. And that's why I keep coming back because they're almost like puppies, right? They love you unconditionally.
They really do. They're the best. Yeah. In second grade, they're a little more honest where they're like, did you get a new haircut?
Yeah. But, you were out late last night, weren't you?
Did you get a new outfit? But they still love you. They love you. They're unconditional lovers. And that's the best part.
They do. Well, it's a great career. I would like to end with that. It is a great, beautiful career. I hope that you are lucky enough to have that kind of experience.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, Andrea. This has been a definite wake-up call and a definite positive. It has felt refreshing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you for sticking around. And new teachers, new graduates, welcome to the profession. I hope you got some value out of this show. And I know it was a long one. And that's what happens when two teachers start talking. All right. So if you're feeling it, I hope you'll leave a rating, review, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. This one tired teacher is ready for a nap. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.